All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Rails member update, October 3rd, 2019. So we're using a new platform today. We're using Zoom, which I'm assuming that many of you have used. Some of you have not. So there may be some excitement. We'll see how this goes. We are going to go around and do introductions in a minute at the different Polycom sites or video conferencing sites. I do want to say at the beginning that for those of you who are on Zoom, and I think there's about, last time I heard, there were about 70 people who are joining us via Zoom. If you want to speak or ask a question at any time, there's a button in Zoom that says raise your hand. You just click on that, and our meeting drivers, pilots here will know that, and they will make it possible for you to speak. We have to do it this way because otherwise it becomes complete noise chaos, as you can imagine, with all the feedback that can result. So if you have any trouble hearing at any point, anybody, anywhere, I guess raise your hand is the best thing to do, right? Okay. All right. So as I said, we'll start with introductions like we always do, and we'll start here in Burr Ridge over there with Grant, please.
Grant Halter, Rails.
Ann Slaughter, Rails.
Ryan Hebel, Rails.
Nikki Zimmerman, Rails.
Deirdre Brennan, Rails.
Jane Plass, Rails.
Joe Philippek, Rails.
Julie Millivec, Downers Grove Library.
Dan Bostrom, Rails.
Jane Jenkins, Green Hills.
Robin Wagner, South Holland.
Stacy Polisano, Rails.
Jim Krieger, Rails.
Anna Duff, Rails. Karen Goyer, Rails.
Great. Okay. And Wesley Smith is back there. Oh, maybe he's not back there anymore. Anyway. Okay. We were having some internet issues at Bolingbrook.
We are currently up.
Okay. Anybody in Bolingbrook? Guess not. Okay.
Nobody was registered.
Nobody was, okay, thanks, Joe. How about Coal Valley?
This is Sarah Alexander from Kelowna Public Library.
Leanne Bredberg, Andalusia.
Lisa Rock Island Library.
Angela Campbell, Rock Island Library.
Is that it?
Sorry, Lisa Lockhart, Rock Island Library.
Great. Okay. Great. Okay, thank you. How about East Peoria?
Oops, hang on 1 second. So East Peoria.
Anna Hudson, Rails. I don't know if anyone's at their desk. I have someone else. No, we're doing introductions.
Beth Dutling at the Lily M. Evans Library in Princeville.
All right, great, thank you. How about Aurora Public Library, Santori Library?
Nobody registered.
Nope, okay. How about Cherry Valley? Anybody in Cherry Valley registered?
Good morning, Jane Lenzer from here at Cherry Valley Public Library.
Thank you, Jane. Freeport? I don't hear.
Sorry, try Freeport one more time.
Freeport Public Library, anybody there?
I think there's only one person registered there.
Okay. How about the Illinois State Library?
This is Jill at the State Library. There's no one in attendance. I just wanted to make sure we met. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jill. Kankakee?
Stone Township Library.
Could you say that again?
Lynn Nofke from the Limestone Township Library.
Oh, hi, Lynn.
Hi.
Is that it?
That is it. It's just me.
All right, thank you. How about LaSalle?
LaSalle is,
We're coming.
oh, LaSalle is here. Barbara Zeman, Pawpaw. Did they hear it?
Did you hear us?
Anybody
Steve?
else? Yes, we can.
Patricia Smith from Robert O. Library.
Julie Whalen from Princeton Public Library.
Great, thank you. Where am I? Okay, Macomb Public Library. Nobody registered. Okay, I guess Dennis is elsewhere today. How about New Lenox?
Ooh, that's us, Michelle Croswick, New Lenox.
Brian Smith, Rails.
Noreen Borman, Peatone.
Lauren Opperman, Three Rivers.
Kathy Berger in Madison area.
Great, thank you. Anybody in Quincy? How about Sterling?
Calvary Walnut Public Library. And I'm in.
Could you say that a little more loudly, please?
Michelle McKelvey, Walnut Public Library. And
Oh,
I'm
great,
on
yes.
here.
Hi, Michelle. Great, thank
Hi.
you. Sycamore, they up yet? Okay, Sycamore.
Oh.
Is that you, Monica?
Barb Coward, Cortland Community Library.
Thank you. And Vernon.
Jay Caston from Rails and Vernon Area Library.
Cindy First from Vernon Area Library.
And that's it from here.
And you, Mary?
Oh, I introduced myself. Didn't you hear me?
No, I didn't. Okay, that's fine. Thank you. All right. So just to repeat, if you're joining us via Zoom, there is a little icon that you can click on.
Next to your name.
With your name. It has your name on it, hopefully. And it says raise your hand, and then we will see that. And it's just like magic, and we can all speak together. Okay. So let's see, General Rails news. Well, sadly for us, Jane Plass is retiring. I guess it's good for her. She wouldn't be doing it, but yes, Jane is retiring on November 15th after 45 years.
About.
Yeah. So there will be a congratulations and farewell reception at the New Lenox Public Library in October, right before our board meeting, which is on October. Who knows the answer?
25th.
Thank you. October 25th. And so that, I think we're going to start around 11 or 11:30. Anybody know? Yes? Okay, great. So you'll be seeing invites and et cetera. So hope to see lots of you there to celebrate all of Jane's contributions. Let's see, the Illinois Library Association and the IOILA, Association of Illinois School Library Educators, those conferences are coming up. You'll be hearing more about them in greater detail later on. We are working on our next video. We're awaiting the script, which will be due we think it's coming to us today. It's about why libraries are still important in the age of the internet, and it's going to be fantastic, I think. We hope it will be done, filmed, whatever, this fall, but depending on some talent issues, that may be pushed back a bit. we've been working again, still continuing to work on our system membership standards. I'm going to be doing a program at ILA with Brian Shepard about the Rails and ILA standards. We're working very closely with the state library. I did report at the last member update on this with the, what we're hoping to do is to, in addition to the standards, or as part of the standards work, is to insert just a few of them into the certification process, and not this year, the following year, and also to hopefully we'll be able to do something this year that will, again, not about the standards, but about certification, that will ease the whole process in terms of how many logins, et cetera. So we'll keep working on that. We have contracted with Greg Pronovitz, who was the director of the Massachusetts library system. He's going to be looking at, and a longtime delivery aficionado and expert. He's going to be looking at our outsourcing and our insourcing, and just seeing how things are going, and sort of just, I mean, generally evaluating the outsourcing, which we've been doing for 5 or 6 years now, I think. It's just time to evaluate, see how it's going. So you may be, he's going to be running some focus groups and visiting different libraries, so you may be hearing from him. Let's see, we just had a board meeting last week, submitted our annual report to the state library. And I think that's the general news. I'm going to talk about the census grant in a minute. Any questions anywhere? Any raising of hands?
I'm not seeing any hands raised, but Quincy did get on via Zoom.
Oh, good. Okay. Welcome, Quincy. Okay. Then I will talk about the grant now. So we did submit a grant to the Illinois Department of Human Services for, they had a notice of funding opportunity related to the census 2020 to provide funding for grantees to do all kinds of activities, education, outreach, et cetera, particularly to the hard-to-count communities in Illinois, to get as complete a count as possible, because, as I'm sure I don't need to remind you all, the census is how federal funding is determined. So very practically, it's very important to libraries and all government and public service agencies, but it's just important anyway to get as complete a count as possible. So we did apply for a total of $1.3 million, of which 80% it will be allotted to subrecipients, the agencies, including libraries, city departments, counties, you name it. The money will be distributed out to them based on plans that they develop or have developed as part of the application to provide the various activities related to the census. It is a very aggressive time frame. The grant application process was very condensed. The census itself is very intense and condensed. We are hoping to hire someone to manage the project. It's a 9-month position because it is a 9-month project. So you'll be, we hope to hear very soon, any day now, I think, is what we were told. Any questions about the census?
If I could just add,
yes,
just
please.
In the area of census education for libraries, a couple opportunities this month. Joliet Junior College is doing an event around the census on October 21st at 6 p.m. And while it's available from JJC's buildings or facilities, they'll also live stream it. So that's on L2, it'll be on through YouTube. And then October 30th, we'll be having a webinar, individual from Forefront, Chicago-based organization that's doing a lot of work around the census. They're going to be doing a webinar for us the afternoon of the 30th. So just a couple opportunities for library and their staff to bring some awareness to what we can do.
Right, great. I think Joe Natale is one of the speakers from the State Library. It was a lot about the census. He's on the Complete Count Commission, I think. You'll all hear as soon as we know. We'll send a message out. So any other comments or questions about the census or anything else I've said at this point? It was a tremendous, monumental task. Thank you to everybody at Rails and out there who helped us develop the budget and the program, particularly Jane Plass, Jim Krieger, and Karen Goyer. It was quite something. So, all right. And you'll be pleased to know that at a crucial moment, I went on vacation. I'm no fool. Anyway. Let's see. I think that's it for me then. I think we're going to turn to Mary now and her team. They're going to update us on the My Library Is campaign. Right?
Sorry, hang on, guys. Mary's in
Vernon.
Vernon.
Hold on, Mary.
Find Vernon.
Don't talk.
Okay. She should be good.
Okay, I see you. Great.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can see you too.
Great, perfect. I just wanted to update everybody on our My Library Is campaign. As a reminder, we're doing this campaign to help all types of libraries, all sizes of libraries, to tell their story and prove their value to different stakeholders. This is in response to tremendous feedback that started with our strategic planning process and has continued since then. Members just need help promoting themselves. Wanted to update you on a couple things we're doing. Our website is really going great gangbusters. The address for that is mylibraryis.org. And there's a sharing showcase on the website, and thanks to everybody who's contributed stuff for that. People are sharing videos or sharing examples, different examples of marketing materials they're using. The stories, they're sharing library stories. That's actually the most popular part of the website right now. Stories like from patrons. We've gotten a few stories from patrons that tell how like they found a job using the library or they advanced in their careers. So we're really getting some good feedback there. It'll really help you to see examples of what other libraries are doing. There's also, I know libraries are interested in templates. There is the marketing plan section of the website is also popular, and I noticed that there was a marketing plan template there. So we continue to grow things. We continue to encourage all of you to contribute to the site. This campaign is going to be ongoing. And everybody is welcome to participate. Any Illinois library is welcome to participate. The videos I mentioned the videos are also popular. Deirdre mentioned the video, the update on the Rails video that we're working on. This is a follow-up piece to our Dreams Take Flight video, which a lot of you have probably seen, and which is on the homepage of our campaign website. You're also going to be hearing later in the member section of the meeting about how someone used a video through our campaign that really worked well. And finally, one more word about templates. We are working with someone on talking points for the different kind of libraries and infographics for the different types. And we will make that available for libraries to fill in their information and customize for their use. So that'll be a good template once we have it. There's a lot of other stuff going on with the campaign. A lot of other staff are involved. And I'm going to start out with Dan Bostrom to talk about some of the things that he's been working on.
Thanks, Mary. Hi, everyone. As Mary mentioned, there's a lot of other ways to get involved in the campaign besides using the resources on the My Library Is website. So if you're going to be at the IOIL or IOILA conferences, we have panel presentations. And I really want to thank the panelists who volunteered to be part of these. At IOIL, we have 4 presenters, one from each type of library: public, school, academic, and special. Amy Byers from the Chatham Area Library, Patty Petrowski from the University of Illinois Springfield, Kristen Rademacher from Marist High School, and Laura Turner from Caterpillar. And then at IOA, we have 4 other panelists, which is great. Thomas Hill from the Madison-Richton Park School District 159, Emily Gilbert from Rasmussen College, Joel Shoemaker from Illinois Prairie Public Library, and then Zoe McGarrick from Forefront. So I'm really excited about those. I think there'll be a good chance for everyone to hear about the things libraries are doing to tell their own story. We also have an opportunity, especially for academic librarians, and that is we're doing an online roundtable on Tuesday, November 5th, and that is a partnership that we have with IACRL, the Illinois Association for College and Research Libraries, and we'll have 3 short presentations, and then about 45 minutes for you to share your own story, to talk about the things that are happening in your library in terms of telling your story, advocating for yourself. So feel free to attend that. That's on L2, Tuesday, November 5th. Finally, I want to remind all libraries that the My Library Is grant is available, and the deadline for that is Friday, November 21st. You can apply for up to $5,000. You can apply solo or with a partner. It's really trying to get libraries to think about ways that they tell their story, to think about innovative ways to tell their story, articulate their value, and again, that's for any type of library. So that's it for me, and I'm going to turn it over to Joe Philippek to talk a little bit about CE.
Sure. Thank you, Dan. Good morning, everyone. So I wanted to just remind everyone, as is the case with other continuing education that we do through webinars and various communication channels that we can archive and record, we do have a number of things that we've been offering since April that are available both on the Rails CE archives, and then that will also be fed into the My Library Is webpage on the online training link. So I'd encourage you to check that out. As far as upcoming things go, we do next week have October 9th, 1:30, Marketing Your Library's Message is a webinar being done by Barbara Alvarez, who has done several webinars for us over the past few years. And then November 12th at 2 o'clock, how to use social media to build a community and drive engagement. That will be done by Julia Campbell, who's a social media and digital marketing expert. So 2 webinar opportunities that you can take advantage of. For those looking for something in person, the last week of October, there are still some spots open, though they are limited. Jennifer Burke of Intellicraft, who I think has a very useful background as both a librarian, but also a lot of experience in the marketing industry. She is on the East Coast, and we're lucky, though, that she is an alum of Northwestern and will be in Chicagoland area. So we are going to have her during that final week of October for workshops at the New Lenox Public Library, at our service centers in both East Peoria and Coal Valley, and also in Dundee, doing workshops on both video, using video in your marketing efforts, and also persuasive writing and marketing. So again, jump on L2. We've been running those in e-news for a couple weeks, but if that is a location that works for you, we hope that you can make it there. And then just further down the road, we will be working on, and we are working on adding some events specific to school and academic libraries. Specifically, for example, we'll have a workshop here in early December for school librarians on how to work with administrators and communicate their value to their respective schools. We'll be having a webinar in January from the San Antonio Public Library talking about their strategy as it relates to community partnerships and how they leverage those partnerships in this area. And then finally, just as Dan talked about his grant opportunity through the My Library Is campaign, we do also have the CE event grants, I'll remind everyone. And those grants this year are focused around the My Library is campaign and these topics that we've talked about. And just as an example, Chicago Public School submitted and received a grant to offer next year some training around this topic and how to work better with their administrators and communicate their values. So that is obviously something to share with our members when that is all scheduled and available. So those are things that I wanted to add. So if there are any questions for myself or Dan or Mary, please let us know.
Questions?
Not about that.
Right. Is there more besides the grant?
No, just the grant question.
Okay, so we did get a question about the grant and whether it covers all of Rails or
geographically all of Rails.
Right. Yeah. And so the answer to that is it does not cover geographically all of Rails, unfortunately. If you go to the Department of Human Services website, and Nikki will type it in up while I say it. It's DHS, D as in D, HS.state.il.us. You will, and you click on the what are they calling it? The regional funding map. You will see that Department of Human Services divided Illinois into several regions, and so in applying for the grant, you had each to apply to be a regional intermediary, which is what Rails applied to be. You have to pick one of these areas. And so because of where we are and because, this office and because of just libraries that were already active and just what we were already knowing about what was going on with the census in hard to count communities, we did pick the collar counties. Now, there are entities that applied in every one of these regions, and what member libraries should do is go to this map or go to this website, and you can find out who applied in your area. You can be a subrecipient to those entities. It doesn't have to just be Rails. It does have to be in your area as defined by the Department of Human Services. And you have to jump through some hoops to be a subrecipient. There's no question about that, but that is the way to get money. We really hoped that it would be more of a flexible application, given that we do serve such a large area. I know Illinois Library Association was always also looking at it from that perspective, but that's just not the way it's designed. So, that's the answer to that question. Any other questions? No. Okay.
Let's see. Are you talking about the census sub-agencies?
Subrecipients to the grant is what I'm talking about. Okay. All right. Thank you for that question. Let's see. All right. So any questions about the My Library Is campaign then, before I move on? Nope. Okay. All right. Then we will turn to the grant to recreate L2 with Anne.
Thank you, Dee. Good morning, everybody. So L2 is the continuing education calendar and library directory at librarylearning.info. I hope that you all have accounts and use the site. It also provides your login for the Rails website and other Rails managed websites. So it's pretty key to daily operations here and to a lot of what happens, the way that we provide our services to you. And this year we have received a grant from the Illinois State Library to completely rebuild and replace it. The platform dates back to 2008 and it's showing its age. So we are anticipating a go live in summer of 2020. And we've done a lot of preparatory work to get to where we are now in terms of working with our stakeholders across the state. It's not just a Rails platform. We steward it on behalf of the entire Illinois library community. So the last time I talked to you at our member update in July, we had just issued the RFP. So the big news for today is that we've chosen a vendor that we're very excited to work with. And we are excited to share more information about that with you after negotiations are complete.
Oh, that was
so. Yes, there will be lots more information coming, but we just made that decision a week ago, so we're still in the paperwork phase. But along with that additional information, there will be more opportunities for your input as well once their discovery process starts and development begins in earnest. We will certainly be soliciting feedback from various groups across the state as well as individual members. But for now, I'm going to reiterate my plea to help us with data cleanup by logging into your account. If you have one, please do log in and update it. If you don't have one, now's a great time to establish one. And if you're a library director or an additional designee at a given library, you're able to edit your library's information and the staff lists. So it would also be a great help to us if you logged in and reviewed the list of staff affiliated with your library, remove people who don't work there anymore, add new staff, clean up the data about your library. That would be a great help to us. And help the data migrate cleanly when it's time. Also, public libraries, please review your board members list as well. If you have any trouble with your L2 account in doing these activities, you can email l2help@railslibraries.info and someone will get back to you quickly. But the best way to stay up to date with information about this project is to subscribe to our weekly Rails e-news. So please do that. And I'm happy to take questions. I'm sorry I don't have any more exciting information besides the fact that we're negotiating with our vendor.
Think of it as a giant weeding project. Yeah. Because, you know, we want to be sure that our L2 database is clean as it can possibly be before we migrate any old information, just as you don't want to you know, have any old books on your shelves if you're migrating or etc. Any questions for Anne? All right. So then we will move on to, we're going to go back to Mary and talk about IOIL and ILA.
Okay, thank you, Deirdre. Hello again, everybody. Rails is going to have a very heavy presence at both IOIL and ILA, the upcoming conferences. IOIL is just next week. Dan was already telling you about his panel presentations at both conferences in conjunction with our My Library Is campaign. We're also going to have an exhibit booth at both conferences. I hope that anybody who is attending will stop by and talk to us. We're going to heavily feature the My Library Is campaign, as well as some of the other new things that Rails is doing. We're going to have contests, prizes, all kinds of fun. So please stop by if you're attending either conference. And I wanted to mention that all of this stuff that I'm saying you can find on our website, and about the middle of the homepage, you'll see a post that tells how to engage with Rails at the fall conferences. So I'm just kind of going over it quickly. At IOIL, Anna Beam, our e-content specialist, is going to give a program on free ebooks and more. That'll tell you all about BiblioBoard and some of our partnership activities with BiblioBoard. And then at ILA, we're going to have a reception. Some of you may have attended our reception last year. This one is going to be on Tuesday, October 22nd at 5:30 p.m. And it's sponsored by Baker & Taylor and BiblioBoard, and they are graciously sponsoring hors d'oeuvres and free drinks. So I hope you will all come by for that. We had a really great attendance at our reception last year, and I hope we will again this year. And then 2 programs at ILA. Deirdre is doing a program on the system membership standards with Brian Shepard, who's the director of the Indian Trails Public Library District. And then Nancy George, who is our Rails Cataloging Services Coordinator, is doing a program as a part of a panel on implementing linked data in libraries. So I hope you'll attend these programs. I hope you'll visit our exhibit booth. One other final kind of connected story about the ILA conference. We just did a podcast. Deirdre interviewed Brian Shepard, who is ILA Illinois Librarian of the Year. So you can also find that podcast on our homepage. I hope you'll listen to that as well. So hope to see you all at ILE and ILA. Please come and see us. That's all I have unless there are questions.
Any questions? Not yet. Nope. Okay. Moving right along. I will now talk a bit about our efforts to help the unserved in Illinois. So the board has established a committee to educate themselves and to just delve into the problem of the unserved. The committee is called the Universal Service Committee, putting an optimistic slant on that. And so we have done a few. The committee asked us to do a few things, and so I'll report on those. They did ask us to do a survey of libraries, which a lot of you filled out, I know. We got 240 responses, which is great. That's more than 50, almost 60%. The survey we got copious data, lots and lots of comments, and we are still working our way through where we hope we can present a sort of a public analysis of it that will help all of the members understand kind of where we're at with this. The point of the survey was to try to find out exactly what libraries are doing in terms of what kind of services they provide, what policies they have, how they deal with non-residents and library cards. I know that we got a lot of comments about how some of the things in the survey weren't, necessarily like legally recognized activities, and we knew that. But we also wanted to. The only way we're going to find out this information is if we asked a lot of kind of more specific questions about how libraries are dealing with it. So I don't want you to think that we were endorsing illegal activities. But on the other hand, maybe if we, get a good list of things that libraries are doing that are working, maybe we can make them legal. So that's how you make progress. So I think that some of my big takeaways were that there is like an enormous amount of confusion about what the laws and the administrative code really says about the unserved. I mean, there was many comments about how you have to a patron has to get a library card at the library in their school district. Well, yes and no. What if there's more than one library in your school district, which is certainly the case. And actually, there's this whole commonality of community interests. You don't necessarily have to go to the closest library or the library in your school district if it makes sense for you to get a library card where you work, for example. There's a lot of misunderstanding about payment. It is now okay to use installment payments when people buy library cards. That, I don't know how well that's been publicized, but that is the case. So I think what we need to do is, among other things, is try to come up with some sort of an FAQ that at least identifies what the gray areas are, and to see if we can help to abate some of the confusion. We also, as part of our efforts, we did work with our attorneys at Ansel Glink to draft legislation that will make it easier for libraries to merge into a district, public libraries to merge into a district. The way it, just as an example, the way it works now, if you have two public libraries, two village libraries that want to merge together and be a district, one of them first has to become a district before they can merge into a district. So it's a very, this is going to be discussed at the Public Policy Committee meeting on Monday. This is a very, incrementally better approach to, library districts, and, removing barriers to, potentially incorporating some untaxed residents into a new district. We are also working on reorganizing our website to make the information that we do have easier to find. There were some comments about, in the survey, about wish we had a template for an intergovernmental agreement. Well, there is a template there. But obviously maybe it's hard to find, so we need to work on that. Let's see. So I think those are the highlights of what I wanted to tell you. It is in the System Act that the systems are supposed to try to reduce the number of unserved, untaxed residents, and so this is part of our job. It's a pretty huge task, but we're trying to sort of pick away at it. Any questions about that?
Question, but Elk Grove Village says that they offer installment payments for their non-resident cards.
Good. That is great. I'm sure they're not the only library. Thank you, Elk Grove Village. Questions? No?
No, but would you like to go around to the sites? No. Just because they're muted.
Sure. Okay, we're going to give you another opportunity, the people who are attending in the different sites. See if you make it easier for you if you have a question or a comment. So let's see, is there anybody in Bolingbrook? Anybody have a question or a comment in Cole Valley?
No questions here.
Thank you. How about East Peoria?
No questions here, thank you.
No.
Thank you.
It could be. There it is. Hello, Dee.
Yes?
This is Patricia Smith at LaSalle.
Yeah, hi, how are you?
Good. I have a question. You stated that necessarily our patrons in unserved areas that come to us do not have to go to the library located in their school district, but if it's more convenient for them to get their card at our library, we can go ahead legally and give them one? Am I correct?
There is, yes. There is a if you go to the, if you look at the administrative code, I'm trying to find the citation here. Section 3050-25, 3050-25 in the administrative rules does say a non-resident shall apply for a non-resident library card at the closest public library. That's the beginning of it. But then it keeps on going. And in clause C, it does say that the factor to be used for determining a non-resident service area shall be the commonality of community interests that influence the activities of the residents of the service area. That commonality of community interests phrase is what allows people to go to a different library than what is physically closest. Some people hate this phrase. I did ask our attorney what it meant. And she said it is not used anywhere else in law or statute in Illinois. It is our library. It is personal to libraries. So, so that's what allows that to happen.
Thank you. That's going to help us a whole lot.
I mean,
hold on. We got another question, Dee.
Does that mean I can say, oh, well, everything I do, I shop, I work, I do everything else there. Therefore, my commonality of culture is in your area? Give me a card?
That's basically correct.
Okay.
Thank you. That really helps us out at Robert Rowe. Thank you.
Sure. I have a question too. All right, we have another question.
Samantha asks, any plans to tackle the recent legislation making annexations more difficult?
Well, that's a good question. That was a public policy issue, and I'm trying to remember. I don't know if anybody else who's on the committee remembers. I know this was definitely on our agenda. It was sort of, it just passed. It passed very quickly, and I don't know of any attempts to change it, but there's a meeting on Monday and I will ask. So thank you for the question. Any more questions, or should we keep going? Okay, so that was LaSalle. Do we have any questions in Coal Valley? No, we didn't, right?
Correct.
Okay. Where am I here? Any questions in Cherry Valley?
So Dee, just to go back to this commonality of culture, if any person comes up to our desk and says, I'm interested in purchasing a non-resident card, which of course they wouldn't use those terms, but can we just then give them their card without asking them any questions?
Well, I don't think that's the intent of the policy, Jane. I think the intent of this is that it allows flexibility. I mean, I think the goal, and there's nobody from the state library, so I'll have to try to channel them a little bit. But I think, the preferred method is that you use the nearest public library in your school district, but that just doesn't always work.
Right.
And so this is put in, but I think, I'm sure that you can also imagine if, your neighboring libraries might get upset if libraries just sort of did this like willy-nilly. But it says that this can be used. So I think it needs to be known by libraries so that they are, can use it if they need to.
Okay, so a couple comments. I'm going to take this first. I thought it was a community commonality of interest which allows for the school district issue. I never thought it was for a single person's convenience. Okay. The other one is PPC objected to this bill. The only relief we got was the bill's sponsor took away a clause that would have allowed previous annexations to be reversed.
Okay. Thank you for that.
That was Scott Davis.
Thank you, Scott. Yeah, so I'll bring it up on Monday at PPC and see if there's anything that can be done. I tend to doubt it, but it's always worth a try. Okay. Does that help you, Jane, at all?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right. Any questions in Kankakee?
Yes, Steve, this is Lynn from Limestone Township. Could you share a little bit more information about the potential to purchase a non-resident card using an installment process? That's something we originally had been told was illegal, and that's fine. If people can do it, I don't have an issue with that. Did it change? And how are other libraries doing this?
Well, again, there's nobody from the state library, and they're the ones that changed. And I think they changed their interpretation. I mean, I think the reason that it's changed is because tax bills are paid in 2 installments. It's still an annual bill. It's an annual fee. You can't sell a card for 6 months or a card for 3 months or something like that. But you can, it makes sense to me since it's all based on taxes. You should at least follow the tax law. But I don't have any more information about that. I don't know that I've ever seen it written down. But we will certainly find out.
Terrific. Thank you so much.
Yep. Could you email Karen Egan and see if she's around? Sure. Or Greg? Okay. Let's see, where was I? Kankakee, yes.
I'll throw this out. Is the installment payment opt-in or required?
Oh, it's not required.
Suggestions for administering. But I think maybe that
I think
answered
this is not, I mean, I'm the messenger here, and I'm happy to be the messenger. But obviously, this is something that needs more discussion with the state library, because I think it's just some added flexibility that's been given.
I do have another comment question. This might be a little bit more for the membership necessarily than you, but what do you do if you find out a patron who says your library is more convenient, subsequently checks out all their material at the closest library? I know non-residents are shopping for the lowest cost, and we are one of the less expensive libraries, so we get that situation a lot.
I think there's nothing, this is the situation that we're in. This is why the universal service, the unserved, is such a big problem, because we spend so much time talking about it, trying to understand what the rules are. We spend a lot of time keeping people out of libraries. It causes us, and I'm not criticizing anybody. I'm just saying, like, this is where we are with this. We don't trust our patrons. We say they're shopping for the lowest card. Maybe they're shopping for a better library. I mean, it's a really terrible situation that this is something that is such an important issue for us, when we should be able to just focus on delivering library service. I still say that if we just served everybody, we would save money in the long run, because we spend so much money keeping people out of libraries, and we do it because we have to. I understand that, but there's not. I mean, if a person does that, there's nothing that can be done about that. That's what they choose to do. You may not like it, but there's nothing we can do about it. Any more questions?
No, not right
All right, let's see. Macomb. No, I don't think there was anybody in Macomb. New Lenox.
We do not have anything.
All right, thank you. Sterling.
No questions at this time.
Thank you. How about Sycamore?
All my questions have already been asked.
Ah, that's lovely. Okay, thank you. How about Vernon?
Nothing here, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
And Karen Egan at the State Library, so she can join us
Great.
shortly.
Okay, hopefully I didn't say anything that was completely inaccurate. So we'll go right to the source here, I hope. Okay, let's see. So I will talk briefly about Inky, which is a new service that we are very delighted to be launching. It is a new statewide press books project that we've been working on. This is part of our BiblioBoard service. There are 3 main audiences. There's an authors section that helps you create an ebook. Then there's also obviously you can read these books via BiblioBoard, and then information for libraries for ways in which libraries can support their local authors. The website is Inky, INKIE.org. We encourage you to go there and see what is possible. I think this is going to be really popular with libraries who want to encourage their local authors. I think that Mary mentioned there will be a reception at IOILA, and we are going to be featuring Inky. It is available to everyone in Illinois at no charge to support local authors and allow readers to access locally produced content. That's sort of the capsule version. There's going to be a webinar November 14th, a webinar with BiblioBoard to provide training. So they'll walk us through how to create a book, give an intro to Inky.org, and go over the website. So we're really excited about this. This is similar to a BiblioBoard product that was being used by some of our libraries at a cost, but we did work out a deal with BiblioBoard so that we could offer it to everyone, because we know that this local content creation is very important. So stay tuned on that one. November 14th for the webinar, and more information at ILA. Any questions about that? How are we going to know when she joins us?
I asked her to let us know.
Okay, all right.
We might want to check back in a few minutes.
Okay. All right, so now we're going to move on to the member library news section. And I guess we're starting with the East Moline Public Library Capital Campaign. And Laura Long from East Moline, who is at Coal Valley, is going to talk to us about that.
Hello, I am here. I was late, but I am here.
Okay.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about the campaign itself, and then I'm going to focus most of the time talking about kind of the logistics of the videos. So the East Moline Public Library was donated an bank building, a mid-century bank building that we will be converting into a modern 21st century library, and as well as renovating the bank building, we're going to be putting an addition on it. So we're really excited to do that. We're about 60% of the way to our funding, but we need to do a capital campaign. We thought a lot about different ways to do the campaign and ways to really get people to understand the impact that libraries have. There's a definite perception still that libraries are warehouses for books, and we do so much more than that. And we really wanted to get stories out there so that people understood the impact that we really did have. So in brainstorming with our fundraiser, we came up with the idea of doing video testimonials as part of our capital campaign. So this was actually a really simple process. The hardest part for us was getting everybody's schedules to line up. So we went out for 3 different bids, and let me tell you, they were wildly, crazily different. The most expensive bid we had to do, we wanted to do 1 5-minute video and 5 30 to 45-second videos that could be used online, on social media, on advertising campaigns, and in presentations that we could do, like in PowerPoint and things like that. Our most expensive bid was $10,000 to do those videos. The least expensive bid, and what we went with, was just a little bit over $2,000. It was a younger company that didn't have as much experience under their belt. And so I think they gave us a bit of a break too, because we were a library, but it turned out to be pretty inexpensive for us to do it. One of the conditions he had, though, was that we had to film it all in 1 day. He would not come back and do multiple site visits in multiple days. So that was the really hard part. I had my staff and my board kind of talk to people, think about who they knew in the library that, number one, is somewhat well-spoken, and number 2, we were looking for a diversity of people, of ages, of ethnicities, to really show the variety that we serve. So we ended up with a gentleman who used the library as a resource to learn computer skills and got a job because of that. A young teen who comes to the library, to our teen library programs, and is a big volunteer and has been an advocate and spoken to other teens. A retiree at a retirement home that we do outreach services to. A former library worker who retired a couple years ago. And then our capital campaign chair, who is the president of the Midwest division of the bank that's donating the building. So all of them had a really great story to tell. All of them used the library in a very different way, and it had a very different impact on their lives and on what they did. So we came up with a list of probably 5 to 7 questions for the interviewer to ask. And then that was for everybody, had the same general 5 to 7 questions. And then each interviewee also had like 3 or 4 questions that were specific to them and what their experience of the library might be. So it went really well. It was very smooth. He came in, they had 2 guys, they filmed 1 day. The library was open while we filmed, so they had people in the background walking back and forth and actually using the library. They also shot some B-roll. And one of the stipulations in our contract with them was that they had to provide the music as well. So they took care of the intro and outro music and the, whatever that is. It was I don't even know what song it was. But so they did all that, and then they did an initial edit of it. They sent it to me for review. I made comments. I talked about what needed to be cut. I showed it to a couple stakeholders like my board and my fundraiser, and they had comments about what they thought worked and what they didn't. And we went back and forth a couple times and then ended up with the final product. We also ended up having him do an even shorter cut that was 10 to 20 seconds because after we got the videos done, we decided that the campaign needed more exposure. So we purchased some advertising with On Media, which is Mediacom's internet advertising branch. So we have some banner ads, as well as they're called pre-roll videos that show up on Mediacom's sites in the Quad Cities. And our videos, they have an 86% watch rate, which is incredibly high for online advertising. And we have about a 50% click-through rate. So it's been really successful for us. I wish I could say that our capital campaign website is raising us tons of money and this advertising campaign has brought in so much. But it really hasn't. But what it has done is given us a ton of exposure and exposure to people. You know, I can see the heat map of people that are looking at the advertising campaign and watching the videos. And it's people that don't necessarily come into the library or people that aren't even necessarily in our service area, not East Moline residents. So it's reaching a far greater audience than we ever could just through our Facebook page and our Instagram. I think that's all that I wanted to mention. I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody has. And I also want to say that Dan did a blog post on the campaign on the My Library Is website, and you can look at the videos on there as well. So if you want to kind of see what we did, or you can go to our actual campaign website, which is just campaign4empl.com. So if there's any questions.
Thanks, Laura. I think he gave you a great deal, $2,000. That's tremendous.
It was pretty stupendous. But, you know, I will say that the 10,000 was an outlier and the 2,000 was an outlier. It was probably more likely to be in the $5,000 range, and we just got a really good deal from that guy.
All right, great. There's Karen Egan. Hi there. I don't know who else can see it, but I can see it.
Sorry,
okay.
We were not connected. They were doing testing this morning, and so we weren't connected, so I apologize.
That's okay. It's nice to see you, as always. So I was updating folks about our efforts around universal service, and we got talking about the commonality of community interest and non-resident library cards, and then about the ability of in terms of the payment for the non-resident library card. Well, the fee has to be an annual card, but people don't have to pay it all at once. They can pay it over time. So it'd be helpful if you could speak to those two things.
Okay, so paying it over time, as long as it is based on that annual fee, and you aren't saying we're just going to issue a summer card, that is not allowed because it does have to be the annual card. And what was the second part of your question?
The commonality of community interest.
As in, tell me more about what you're asking.
That's a phrase in the administrative rules that does allow for people to not go to their closest, physically closest library.
Yes. So what that is getting at is if the person lives in an unserved area and they work in a community that is served by a library, but their closest library is in the opposite direction, they can make the case that because of commonality of community, the city where they work is where they should get their library card. It's where they work, where they shop, where they travel on a normal basis versus going to the library that is closest, which is not necessarily the direction that they travel. It's that giving them the flexibility to say, I don't go to Sherman, I travel south to Chatham all the time. And so that's where I would like to get my library card, because that makes most sense in where I'm going on my normal travel time during my life. Does that make sense?
Yes, as I was, thank you for that, Karen. It does, and I was stressing that it allows flexibility. It's, I think nowhere in the administrative rule does it say anything about which direction you're going in, of course. I mean, it can't, people are going to, it's just hard, it's hard for libraries to say no to that, I suppose, right?
Right.
Yeah, so, so do you have any, I think some of the questions from libraries were, well, what do I do if somebody says this? And then
That
you
they're
know,
saying,
do-
so the library, so an unserved person comes to the library and says, I work in this community and I'd like to get a library card here, I would give it to them.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
right, okay,
I would
yeah, I agree, okay.
You know, you don't want to turn somebody away if they're willing to pay your library card fee and they want to use your library card. I think that, you know, you can look at closest library also as is it closest as the crows fly, or is it closest as following the roads? And what if you take the interstate versus the back roads?
Right, no,
And,
I
you
know.
so there's so many ways you could look at this and interpret it. And I think that's why the commonality of community comes into is, where are you going on a regular basis? What makes most sense for that person to use whichever library is closest to where their life happens?
Right, and I, you know, of course, you weren't here, but I did go on my usual rant about, you know, how terrible this is and that we spend so much time, you know, trying to figure it out. But as, you know, has been pointed out to me by your colleague, Greg, you know, on the other hand, it does provide a way for people who don't have a public library to get a card and get public library service. I mean, you know, it's not great, but it's something anyway, so. Anybody, any other related questions to Karen while she's here, or anything?
I'll hang out if you guys have other questions.
Yeah, there are a
Hang
couple.
out for a second, Karen. Well, I think you probably answered this, but Jenna says, does the library still have to be somewhat adjacent to their residence? My
No.
guess is no, based on what you were describing.
And okay, common sense would make, okay, just let's say I live in a community in central Illinois that does not have library service. And I'm just traveling, and I decide, hey, I want to get my library card at the Rockford Public Library. That makes no sense at all, because that's, you know, a 3-hour drive. I'm not going to be going back and forth to Rockford. So I think a little bit of common sense plays in here, but my coworker Becky just moved to Jerseyville, for example, and she's driving back and forth between Jerseyville and Springfield. It would make sense if Jerseyville did not have a public library. Springfield would make sense for her to get a card because she is driving every day to Springfield. Mm-hmm. So you have to look at, again, what makes sense for that person.
Another question is, how do we then determine, this is from Samantha, how do we then determine whether a non-resident who works in the community should pay a non-resident card fee or apply for a non-resident taxpayer card through their employer?
What is a non-resident taxpayer card?
I've never heard of a non-resident taxpayer card through their employer. You would charge them as a non-resident based on the policy that your library has set for how you determine the non-resident fee. So follow your policy for a non-resident card holder.
She was referring to like business owners and renters.
Oh.
Whoa, a bunch are coming in hanging. Oh, okay. And people are kind of answering. It's for people who own property in town.
Or rent property.
Yeah, or rent property. I think there's a non-resident taxpayer card is a business card. Okay, yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah,
we
they're-
answered our own
yeah.
question. Okay.
Yeah, and that would be a different situation.
Yeah, because they are being taxed.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on.
It's a big topic, Karen.
That's okay.
Okay. All right, I haven't read this through, so bear with me. The situation we have is that our nearest, this is Juanita, the situation we have is that our nearest unserved community has at least 6 libraries that are within a few miles. Yet they all come to my library to get a card. I don't mind, but I've heard from other actual libraries asking why we issued a card. Don't know.
Well, I think, you know, we can't possibly discuss every possible nuance that, the more than 100 people at the member update have. I think, I think maybe what we should do is, we'll just keep taking the questions and then, forward them to you, Karen, or to the State Library. I think obviously we have uncovered something that is very confusing and wasn't really known, which is why we are talking about it and why we need to do something on our website. I think the point that you made, Karen, and the point that I was trying to make too, is that this commonality of community interest is designed to allow flexibility, and you just need to use your judgment and common sense about it. Yeah, so I think, okay, so I think we'll...
It slowed down.
Well, I think we'll quit for now and just keep, unless something really dramatic happens, maybe we'll go back to our regularly scheduled programming. But feel free to hang out, Karen, just in case, if you can.
All right. I'll be here in case you guys have more questions.
All right, that's great of you. Thank you. So, all right, so going back to our member news, we're going to go to Bike the Trail with Bette Duttlinger, who is in East Peoria.
Hi, I'm Beth, and I'm at the Lily M. Evans Library in Princeville. And last year, we had started an initiative that we were calling Bike the Trail, Library to Library. If you know where we are located, we're right along the Rock Island Trail State Park, which runs from Toulon, Illinois, through Wyoming into Princeville, and then down through Dunlap and into Peoria and Peoria Heights. So we wanted to utilize that resource and let people know, first of all, what we had to offer as libraries. We wanted to provide bike repair stations along that trail because there was 26 miles of bike trail and not one bike repair station. And we also wanted to develop some online resources for our trail users. So we had started this on our own. We found some sponsors to do the bike repair stations, so we did put them in. But then we were having a difficult time educating trail users about resources for libraries. Most of our libraries are open over 50 hours a week, so we have things like free Wi-Fi and drinking fountains and restrooms. We have bike racks, and then we had the repair stations. So we really wanted to get people to know about the resources that we had to offer. So that's where the Rails grant had come in. It allowed us to do a campaign and publicize the resources that we have. We were able to do a very nice brochure. So it also helped us to strengthen the partnerships we had already started to develop, not only with the Rock Island Trail and the Peoria Park District, who handles the Greenway as it goes through Peoria, but also with the Friends of the Rock Island Trail, with Bike Peoria, who does a lot of bike repair in the Peoria area as a cooperative. Some of the businesses along the area and the route, 111 Coffee's been very supportive in Wyoming, and they're just thrilled that we have the bike repair station there. It also allowed us to do a little bit more of the bike repair. We started some clinics. We've had ours. I know Dunlap is going to be having theirs soon. So Bike Peoria has been very helpful in getting us expertise in the bike repair area. And then finally, it's helped us with the perception of what libraries do. As part of our mission statement for the Lily M. Evans Library, we really focus on one of the things in our mission statement that we focus on is that we want the Princeville area to be a place that people want to live, work, and visit. So it's brought attention to the fact that libraries can help with economic development. Outdoor recreational areas, especially in rural areas, can be a very big draw, not only to bring people to the area, but also to live there. And the people that it does draw in seems to have a higher economic ability. We want to be an active community. where our people are moving around, and exercise and obesity is such a big issue today. So we want to make our community members more active. And we're also part of a wildlife corridor. So it's always good for the environment to have more trail system, because it does promote a wildlife area with birds, bees, all that kind of stuff. So it's really fit in well with what we wanted to do, and we're getting more recognition that it fits in well with making our place a better community. So that's really what they've really helped us with. We've got some bike repair materials and bike repair kits that are portable to help us with our clinics. We did some signage along the trail. There are now 17 by 20 signs that are by each of the libraries. We got a laminator and laminator packet, so as we have different signage, we can put it up at the different trailheads. I believe there are 8 trailheads that we can put them up and just staple them right out there. And then, of course, the brochures. We got brochure holders at each of the repair stations, so it's made it much more visible in the community. Our library, or our website for this project, is called ritlibraries.org, and our resources are available through there. So thank you, Rails, for this opportunity.
Our pleasure. Thank you, Beth. It's a great project.
Thanks.
Really great. Any questions for Beth? All righty, so we will move on to the Marist High School's project with Blue Island to create escape room learning games for kids and teens, with Kristen Rademacher, who's on Zoom.
Yes, I'm here. I'm trying to make my video start, but oh, okay. It says it's been disabled by the host, but okay, here we go. So I was going to be, the reason I couldn't be there in person, I apologize, was because I was going to be teaching today, and then I ended up having a kid get sick. So I'm actually at home with a sick child. So thank you for letting me.
Can you increase your volume by any chance, or?
No, it's at full volume.
Oh, that's fine. I think her hand was.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
that seems fine now.
I apologize. Okay, sorry. Yeah, I was going to say it's at full volume. Okay. So our project that we had was between my high school, Marist High School, which is in Chicago, and the local, one of the local public libraries. We're a private school, but we're surrounded by a number of different communities, Chicago being one of them. But we also have several suburbs that border our school, and it's this very strange location that, depending which way you exit campus, you're in a different city altogether. So, and we have over 150 different feeder schools from different communities into our school. So I don't have any one public library to work with. I have many, many, many that I can choose from, some of which over the years we've fostered very good relationships with, which has been great. One of those is the Blue Island Public Library, which is very near community to our school. We have a number of students from Blue Island that attend our school, and they've been very welcoming to all of our students, which is great. So we wanted to do this project for several years based on this idea of escape room gaming. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. It's really great in a school environment as well as in just a community environment, more as a fun thing, but you can do a lot with curriculum, a lot with many different subjects. The kids do it's a solution finding, problem-based learning, hands-on, and they're doing all this sort of cognitive thinking and group work and collaboration. It's all this great stuff that makes the kids do. So they get a scenario that they have to escape from or solve in some way, and the solution is ultimately by opening all the locks and opening the box, escaping as such, because obviously it's illegal to lock kids in a room and make them escape the room. So you make them escape by opening the box or boxes or whatever the scenario is. So anyway, so I've wanted to do this for years, but the initial gathering of materials to make it really successful had always been a bit cost prohibitive. And so I was reaching out to public libraries. We were trying to see if there was a way we could sort of piecemeal it together. And nothing was really working. And then we were able to get this grant, which was our lifesaver. So we were able to buy a bunch of kits that are from Breakout EDU. So it's the sort of the foundational kits with locks and boxes and invisible ink and all kinds of different stuff that it comes with. And then that also gives you access to their huge wealth of pre-made games by teachers, by professionals that are geared towards kids, geared towards a variety of subjects that are already made. So it makes it easier on teachers who are busy or librarians who are busy. So we got that. And then the grant also allowed us to get a lot of supplementary. So I got a lot of additional locks and backup materials and craft materials, lots of props. So the props can be used to make the game itself better, sort of flesh it out, or be used as distractors for those savvy kids that really think they can figure this out. You want to have like things that throw them off or whatever. So I just got this wealth of stuff between myself and the teen librarian over at Blue Island. We had these lists of things that we needed and wanted. So initially last March, we had a huge launch event. It was hosted at Marist at my high school, but we invited not only the Blue Island community members, we actually got Evergreen Park Library, another library, Alsip Library, Oak Lawn Public Library. Their librarians came as well. We built, oh gosh, how many games do we have total? 32 games, some of them very large that only 4 people at a time could solve, that were these huge tables of multiple levels, took 45 minutes. And then we had all these computer stations of digital games and a smaller lightning round things that 1 or 2 people could solve in 5 minutes. It was insane. And we had a lot of attendees from all over the community, mostly middle school grade age, which was kind of fun, which I don't usually work with. And that was sort of our launch promotional, hey, we've got these great new things. And so that was March 20th, I want to say, of 2019. And then we divvied the kits up. So he took half, I kept half. And then I started doing, at my school, I did a promotional lunches with the teachers in the faculty lounge. So I put together small, easier games for them. I had a science one, I had a language one, I had a math one, and it was really fun watching them solve it in their teams. And it was surprising how hard it was for them to solve these games. But it gave them an idea of how they could maybe use it in class. And I've had computer science teachers, surprisingly, have used a lot of digital games. They really love it. They use it in their classrooms a lot. And a lot of world language teachers, although any subject, really, sky's the limit. So there's a lot of teachers using it. This year, it's expanded, and my administrators have been using the games and hosting them when they're doing professional development things around the city of Chicago. When they go to these, like, all the principals are together, or all the whatever, different deans get together for these different professional development, like workshop days. They'll start it with breakout games that they bring, that I help them build, and then they take a bunch of our props and host, which has been really kind of unexpected. I didn't think that it would expand into administration. I thought it would stay with the kids. So that's what I've been doing with them. And then over the summer, the public library hosted a bunch of things at the library, a couple different mini events for the teens. And then now is doing a lot of outreach into the Blue Island school system, the high school here, Eisenhower in Blue Island, and then also into the homeschool system. We have a very extensive homeschool network in the area. And so he's been reaching out to the homeschool families and educating them on how to use this for and getting the kids checked out to these homeschool people who want to use it to increase, various content. So it's going really well. We have plenty of stuff now, which I'm very, very grateful for, and I don't anticipate it running out anytime soon. We have plenty of access, digital access, for at least another couple of years. So this has been, this was just a real boon, and we were thrilled to have it, and it's been very successful so far. And I only anticipate it being used more as more and more teachers kind of, it's been very word of mouth. They're like, oh yeah, I did this. Oh, that sounds so cool. I think I'll use it this way. And then they come talk to me about it and build something, usually small to start with, and then they kind of expand it. We haven't gotten yet to the design aspect, which is one area that I'm really hoping that my teachers pick up on soon. Letting the kids design games for each other, or like a one class period for a different class period. So that's an element that is certainly there that is underutilized at the moment, but I anticipate that growing as well. And yeah, so it's been really cool for learning, really cool for community building and outreach. I've been getting phone calls from parents asking when we're going to have another breakout event at Marist. And I'm not sure we're planning on that, but if there's enough interest, I guess we better. So yeah, I don't know if anyone has questions or if you need more explanation than that, but it's that's what we've been doing.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much, Kristen.
Yeah, no problem.
I'm already thinking of ways we can use it at Rails.
You totally could.
Yeah, I know, seriously. Any questions for Kristen? I think that's great. I'm a big proponent of gaming. Helps you think.
Yeah, especially when it can be very hands-on and isn't just in your brain. Yeah, it's a really
Problem
good
solving,
skill.
yep.
Problem solve or solution finding as the new buzzword. Solution finding. So.
Okay, any questions coming in there, Nikki? No? Okay, so now then is the opportunity for everybody to share their library news if they would like to.
I would just like to say that somebody did say thank you for sharing that. She said, thank you to Kristen.
Yes, you got another thank you, Kristen, not just from me. So it was great. So I guess we'll go around the sites and see if anybody wants to share anything. Anybody here in Burr Ridge? All right. How about in Coal Valley?
Yes, this is Sarah Alexander from Kelowna Public Library. My whole staff attended Pug Day, and one of the things that I attended was the low-tech STEM or STEAM program, and the gal that did the presentation was just very outstanding. And as a result of that, my assistant director and I have been working on identifying different things that we can use that we were going to discard and put together in a cart, which our friends have bought us. And so it'll be the art component within STEAM. And then we've also been purchasing some different toys, manipulative toys, building toys that we're going to put together, and we're in the process of trying to figure out where we're going to house all of this. And my staff is really excited because we need to bring in younger kids. And we have a lot of parents that come in with small kids, and the kids kind of get whiny. Now we're going to be able to direct these children to a different area where they can play and create. We're also developing Alzheimer's kits. I have to get those pulled together. We have most of the items and get them so that they can be cataloged. And the other thing is I went to my city council meeting about the census. I had developed a flyer from information I'd gotten at the Moline meeting in March. And it's been very positive. Finally, we have a person in city council, it's the clerk, who is now very much interested in getting on board with the census. I told her I can't head up the complete count committee. I have too much on my plate, but she's willing to do it, so it's been great. And as a result of this flyer, one of the people from the census got hold of it and came by and asked me if I would send them my template, which I have. And I've also shared it with several other small cities, small towns in our area. I've sent it out some of the libraries. I said, use it. I don't care what you do with it, but it's available. It's a start. It's a template. And it's been very well received. Right now, I have the census people hopefully showing up at a fun run in Kelowna this weekend, hopefully showing up at the Fall Fest at our library later this month. There's a fire department event that they've been invited to, and we have a December craft day. So I'm really trying to push the importance of everybody getting involved with the census. And I have been successful. I have one person who wants to know when they can come and do it. They're ready to do it now. They don't want to wait till the spring. So that's what's going on at our library.
That's great. That's great. Thank you. Yeah, you don't have to wait to start to work on the census, that's for sure.
I'll share one that just came through the chat if you don't mind. So Jennifer Garden says, Mill Edgeville Public Library is now a fully participating member of the Rock River Library Consortium. Yay.
That's great.
We are also preparing to hold basic hand sewing classes for our patrons. We will have classes for kids and classes for adults.
That is great. Thank you, Milledgeville. Anybody in East Peoria? Perhaps they are gone. How about Cherry Valley?
Yes, hi there. Just one bit of information that's kind of fun for us. This summer, our local park renovated a couple of the existing tennis courts and they made them into pickleball courts. So a local businessman donated a set of pickleball paddles and it just went gangbusters. These paddles were never in our library. There were multiple holds. They were checked out all the time. So as a result, another business owner in the area has donated 4 or 5 other sets of pickleball paddles. We've had a couple programs with a representative from the Park District and the neighboring community. We had part one was in the library, just kind of more learning about the game and the rules. And then the second part was actually held at the park at the pickleball courts. And this has just been kind of an unexpected, crazy, fun thing that has really blossomed and been a really fun thing. So we've kind of gotten into this library of things. We never really intentionally meant to do it, but it's just sort of happened, and it's really been a great thing for our community. It's just another way that we can say we're serving our community and that our library goes beyond just the traditional collections that people often think of at the library.
That's great, Jane.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's amazing what's being lent out there. I've heard of ukuleles and jewelry and crazy.
I've got one too.
Yep.
Came through. Antonia McBride says the Harvey Public Library District is hosting a 6-week-long Spanish language for beginners class. The first 2 weeks were very well attended. French language for beginners is scheduled to begin in December. Classes are currently offered free to the public.
That's great. In Harvey, that's terrific. Okay, where am I? Kankakee. Anybody in Kankakee want to share? All right, how about LaSalle?
Hi, it's Julie from Princeton Public
Hi, Julie.
Library. So anyway, we have a couple good things going on. The biggest is we received a donation for $198,000.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah.
And
Congratulations.
thank you. The nice thing about it is the woman who left it to us was somewhat eccentric and didn't really express or communicate her likes or dislikes. So it was really nice to have that sort of validation posthumously that, you know, we were appreciated. So we're very thankful for that. Also, our memorial garden, we had a board member pass away about 2 years ago, and his widow kind of spearheaded this memorial garden in front of the library. So that is nearing completion, and we'll get some pictures and get that out. Looks great. And the one I'm most excited about is Halloween. We are doing a Spooky Poochie Pet Parade. So we're gonna have the kids dress up, and we're gonna parade around the pollinator garden and have prizes and treats for the participants. So
That's great.
That's what's going on in Princeton. Thanks.
That's great. Thank you.
I've got one.
Okay.
Donna Forbes from Indian Prairie says that they are hosting Illinois Prayer Reads through October 20th. Our book is The Curious Incident of the Dog of the Nighttime. We have given away 50 copies of the book distributed across their 6 branches, and we are giving away six sets of tickets to the local community theater productions, the stage version, opening October 11th. We have also been hosting autism spectrum events, including sensory-friendly story hours, since September 3rd.
Great. What library was that?
Indian Prairie. I'm assuming IPDPL, Indian Prairie, no. Indian Prairie District Club of, no.
No.
Ask
her what library it is.
Who are
That's
you?
them.
IPDPL.
Okay, let's see, that was LaSalle, there was no one in Macomb. Anybody in New Lenox?
Illinois Prairie District,
Okay,
sorry.
I thought,
That's
okay.
my fault.
Thank you, Illinois Prairie, because I knew Indian Prairie didn't have 6 branches.
Metamora.
How about New Lenox? Okay, Sterling? What?
Oh, now we are, okay.
Hello?
Hello, Dee.
Hello?
Can you hear New Lenox?
Yep, yes. Okay, go ahead, Kathy.
Okay, Madison area is hosting their 5th annual 5K costume dash on Saturday morning. And this year, they're also adding to it a health fair with several vendors and an obstacle course for the kids.
Great.
This is Noreen at
Anybody
Peatone.
else?
We're currently going out to bid to put a family bathroom in our library, and I was wondering if anyone has done this recently, if they can contact me, because I have a ton of questions. I'd appreciate it.
All right, Peatone, right?
Correct.
Okay.
All right, one more. Michelle at New Lenox. We have our 7th annual Ghouls and Golf fundraiser where we turn the library into a mini golf course on Sunday, October 27th. That course is rentable throughout the rest of the year when we're not using it. So if you wanted to stop by and have fun and see how we organize it, you're more than welcome to stop by. Also, if you want to contact me about the rental of the course, I can always put you in contact with other libraries that have also used it successfully for fundraisers and programs.
All right. Thank you, Nicole. Is that right? Michelle. Michelle, sorry. I don't know why I said Nicole. Michelle. All right. Okay, thank you, New Lenox. Yes.
I'm sorry, this is Patricia Smith from Robert Rowe in LaSalle. I have a question that's totally off this topic, but can you explain, is there some legislation now about changing the bathroom signs to be gender-free or family, or do we have to change them? Where's the status on that?
I think
there was a thread on the on the director's forum a while back, but it does, the legislation I think goes into effect January 1, and it's specific to single occupancy bathrooms, as I recall.
And they haven't actually made the administrative rules
Right.
yet.
That's
so
right. I
we
posted
don't
something that
know.
the questions about are there guidelines in terms of the signage you have to have, et cetera? We're still kind of waiting for that guidance to come out. But yes, there is, I can send that to you. That's no problem.
Okay, so I just want to know.
At least the language of the
legislation. Or should I wait?
Not yet.
You should
Okay,
wait.
I'll wait. Okay, thank you.
Yes, thanks for that question, and we'll repost that too. Yep, thank you, Joe. All right, Vernon.
Yes, we do have something.
Hi,
Okay.
this is Cindy. This is Cindy from the Vernon Library, and I just a couple of things. We had our very first protest here at the library on September 20th when they had the global climate strike. We actually had a third grader approach us and asked if they could do a protest at the library outside on our grounds. And so they had about 60 people. It was very peaceful, but that was a first for us. And then on the 28th, last Saturday, we had our very first drag queen story time, and we had 160 people attend. There was no protest. Everybody was happy. It was a very positive event. So that was a good thing. And then on November 9th, we're going to be doing our 5th annual mini Comic-Con, which is we usually have a couple thousand people attend throughout the day. There's information on our website about that. We have a lot of different activities. People stroll through, dropping crafts as well as programs, but it's a great event of fandom, and we attract people from kind of all over for it, and it's free. So that's kind of what's going on here.
That's great. Great. I'm glad you had a protest that wasn't related to the story time, because that has seemed to be kind of controversial in some places.
Yes, we were too, and it was really interesting that there was not a single protest. There were some comments of people concerned about it being appropriate, but everybody was reasonable, and the day of was very, very positive. And the protest that we did have on the global climate strike, very positive, very well received, very well, for third graders, they were adorable, but it was just interesting that they thought of the library as a place where they could be visible and seen and read their statements and have their signs. So that was our first time doing anything like that. So, yeah.
That's great. Great. Okay, I think that is pretty much it. We've covered a lot of territory today. I want to thank Karen Egan again for making a surprise, especially for her, guest appearance to help us out. Next member update is Thursday, January 16th. And I'm sure the weather will be really beautiful that day. So I think I will adjourn us for now. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for hanging in there with us for Zoom.
Bye-bye.
Bye.